we got an update for Black Ops 4 that kind of pushed us along and said, you know what, we'll get more information out there later this week. Well, it actually is now that point where, as of today, Thursday, we got a little bit of an update to the game itself and also some more information about things to come. So we're gonna break down all that here and let you know everything that you need to know about what happened in today's update for Black Ops 4 and the whole deal with contracts themselves, because we actually finally got a ton of information on all of that. So we'll break it all down here in this one and let's just jump into it. So the first things that you may have noticed with the actual game itself is that, well, the double XP weekend ended up kicking off here for today, in which for all platforms there's double XP in MP, Zombies, and League play, as well as 2x merits in Blackout as well, with a couple of different things added in also. There's now a new map pack mosh pit as a featured playlist in which you can play all the maps right there, and fun fact is the Black Ops Pass MP now has access for everybody. So if you don't have the Black Ops Pass and you want to try out those new maps, well, now's the best time to do so because it's absolutely free. Now, that may entice some people to play and may have some people jump on for that playlist, but the other big thing here within the game itself was PlayStation 4 exclusive for the time being. Hopefully it follows suit about a week later for Xbox One and PC. We'll have to see how that goes in time, but for PlayStation 4 users, the 15 million matches contract or challenge for the community challenge was completed, so the Grav is now live in multiplayer for PlayStation 4. This is the exact build of the gun that we saw in Zombies as well as Blackout, maybe some different statistical properties given across all three. There are sometimes some slight changes that happen across those three modes, but it's now available in MP that you can end up playing and jumping on and seeing for yourselves. What you're seeing in the background is some gameplay from my good friend Zach, or who's immortal, and he was kind enough to lend over some of this gameplay here for you guys to show it off in a little bit of action because, well, I'm about 3,000 miles from my PlayStation 4, currently still on vacation for the next couple of days. So that said, what you're seeing in the background is courtesy of him. Go check him out, show him some love, all that good stuff. But one thing's for certain, I know that I cannot wait to jump on whenever I get home and play with this for myself, but it should be available now for all PlayStation 4 users, and again, hopefully, because they weren't tethered together, which is the weirdest thing to me, the Xbox One and PC users can get this relatively soon. I'm hoping, again, within that next week, but I haven't seen any of the progression for Xbox One or PC, but here's the hoping. Now, outside of this is where we start to jump into the contract discussion. Probably the biggest part here out of this update, but it wasn't necessarily something actually in-game just yet, but it will be coming as of the confirmed date of the 25th, this upcoming Tuesday. So that kind of validates now that whole thought that we'd have update 1.19 coming on the 25th. As they mentioned for quite some time, it'd be an update in late June. So the 25th, of course, being that last Tuesday that we end up seeing for the month. And so it made sense, but it's now officially confirmed to be coming as of the 25th. And the cool part is this is now on all platforms. It's not gonna be something you have to wait a week for Xbox One and PC to get this functionality, which is great. And I feel like some of the exclusivity stuff, it just doesn't make sense to me because we've seen some things like core functionality. I remember Blackjack Shop was something that was exclusive for a week, which made no sense to me because that was a fundamental piece of the game. It wasn't new add-on content, but instead something that was a base core function of it. But that said, how it's set up is a little bit worded ambiguously and sort of beats around the bush whenever described by Treyarch, so I'll try and break this down and give you an accurate depiction of how it will work out here, or at least how I think it will work out. But from my understanding, we'll end up having 28 total contracts available to complete at any time, with a global daily contract and 6 additional contracts for each of the 4 main modes. So that means you'll have 6 contracts that you can choose from that are not daily contracts in MP, Blackout, Zombies, or League play, and then also bring you to that total of 24, and then a daily contract in each of those bring you to that grand total of what is described of 28. So 3 contracts can be activated at a time, with 2 being player selected, and my understanding is that daily 1 will be active as well by default. So whatever mode you're playing, you'll be able to choose from 2 of those yourself and then have that daily one as well. Now, as for the refresh rate, daily contracts will naturally refresh every 24 hours, but we know there are 6 outside of those daily per game mode that aren't necessarily classified as daily. So again, this is where we kind of start to see it beat around the bush a little bit and doesn't give any major clear definition, but it also seems like it's going to be a weekly or something similar because they mentioned they're going to refresh at a regular interval. So with that in my mind, that's very closely mimicking the World War II contract and order system, where you have daily and weekly challenges and you can hold 3 of them active at a time. One big difference though from this system is that if you end up starting one and then decide, you know what, hey, I can probably unlock this other one faster, you can then swap it to another one and it won't abandon all progress that you already put towards that other one you abandoned, but instead it just kind of puts it back on a shelf with a checkpoint and you can pick it up where you left off whenever you want to again, it seems like. Additionally, it also looks like you'll be able to keep contracts active activated for as long as necessary with no real time frame of it going away or of it expiring like a limited time event or something, which follows the same patterns we saw in Black Ops 3 and World War II. So long as you activated those contracts in that given time frame, you could take as long as necessary to complete them at your own pace. Now, as for the rewards and what you'll end up getting out of these contracts, it will span for MP, Blackout, Zombies, and League Play rewards. They'll include bonus XP and MP, Zombies, and League Play, Nebulium Plasma in Zombies, and bonus merits in Blackout as well. There's also going to be two denominations of these contracts, standard versus hard contracts. Your standard will reward you with a little less items, but harder challenges will task you with doing a little bit more and going the extra mile for a slight uptick in that reward system at hand. The one hard contract that was detailed for Blackout was called Solo Stalker, in which you need to place in the top 10 in solos games 2 times, which ultimately isn't the toughest thing to do, but it's also more of a task than something other smaller things we may see introduced within the contract system itself. But with that, you'll end up being rewarded with 500 merits and 2 reserve cases. Additionally, one other thing to note is that contracts will be replacing daily callings in Zombies. So you'll have, of course, your daily contract within Zombies, and that's something that will give you that extra tier skip, whereas the daily callings previously did that. Now, truthfully, I think there's some good and some bad here with this system. So let's start out on the positive. The good thing, firstly, is that one big thing I am definitely on board for is that Zombies players are finally getting some rewards and some form of ability to chip away at newer weapons and newer items, as opposed to just using the tier skips of round 15 and that daily callings and hoping you get past tier 50 based off of that alone. That's assuming, again, you're a solo Zombies player. I think it's good to end up jumping into Zombies and kind of doing a little bit for your tier skips on that so you can get the extra one, but also then jumping over to MP so you can further progress that tier progression. But I know that some people are strictly Zombies players. And truthfully, I'm really at a loss as to why it's taken so long for any recognition for Zombies players, but to finally see something given to them, I'm all for that. So that's definitely a good portion. And the other good portion I think here out of this is that it does offer more ways for players to be rewarded based off their in-game playtime alone. You now have more chances to get the items you want, but that's also kind of where we transition into the bad. Because the rewards, well, you still only have a chance at items. What we'll be getting if you complete all contracts and challenges, around 50 more chances at reserve cases, or rather 50 cases granted per week it seems like, given you'll have the refresh of those 24 items across the 4 modes and also the daily ones that will refresh daily across all 4 modes. Right around that 50 mark, but I personally don't understand why it's so hard or why it's so evil on the reverse side here as to not offer an alternate route to new weaponry and new items that are pretty cool via in-game organic guaranteed unlocks. To me, Call of Duty is not a dungeon or raid style RPG or anything like that, where the core of the game is meant to be predicated on chance. It's more so an arcade shooter that is built for time killing, to fill space in that open hour you have to relax and chill out on a Saturday afternoon before heading out with your friends, or after taking your kids to soccer practice or something else in the real world and real life situations like that. The mass populace of the player base doesn't have the time to grind hours on hours on hours for a chance. I still don't understand why we can't get a weekly weapon contract, or even hell, if you want to do what we did with weapon bribes, make weapon contracts include MK2 weapons, but at least there's a way to unlock them. Make that something that is a special contract that refreshes out every single week, not just this XP and reserve reward system. Again, it's very cool we can have more chances, but I just don't understand why we can't have what players have been asking for, a direct route to end up unlocking something, even if that means grinding out the game for a little bit more than you normally would. But additionally, that wasn't the only part of the system that was introduced and detailed for the first time here at this, because we ended up getting word that we'll have a new Ultra Weapon Bribe introduced sometime in the next coming weeks here. This will reward players with a black market weapon that you don't own, meaning you'll end up getting the Locust, the Peacekeeper, the Ballistic Knife, or the S6 Stingray, and as time passes, you may end up getting all of those weapons, and so later down the road, it could include a Mark II weapon, a Mastercraft, or another variant that players wouldn't have unlocked yet, but to me, this in itself is a win. Not necessarily a huge one, but something we should have seen from the get-go with the weapons being in supply drops. Now, the first of these will come in a special event tier stream similar to the Barbarians event that we saw in Absolute Zero, and that's scheduled right now for at the end of this current event of Spectre Rising, which currently leaves the open time frames to be either this upcoming Tuesday or the Tuesday after that on the 2nd of July. Either way, it kind of limits the options here, and we should see it relatively soon. But this will be introduced in those tiers, but that's where again I have some drawbacks with this as well, because it's going to be a one and done thing for the foreseeable future. I would have hoped we would have at least had these things like a special contract reward so that you could end up having the option to organically earn any items that you want while they were still new. Not necessarily a once every stream type of deal that is solely predicated on RNG and chance. To me, I think that we should have seen 4 of these throughout the Days of Summer event to make up for that weaponry that we saw in drops. And the same thing goes for the inevitable future. If there's 4 more weapons added into Operation 5, we should, in my mind, have 4 ultra weapon bribes to guarantee those items over the course of that event, whether that be in tiers, whether that be in contracts, whether that be wherever. But personally, that's just me. Anyways, that's the update and what was added in here with this one and what we ended up seeing across, not only added in game, but also some more information about what will be added in the game. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to here out of this? Are you looking forward to the ultra weapon bribe being in a new tier system in terms of maybe say a 20 tier event that we see at the end of Operation Spectre Rising? Are you looking forward to the contract system at hand? Are you looking forward to jumping on and playing around with the grab whenever you get on and have the opportunity to do so? Whatever it is, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, but hopefully enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below, and of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Black Ops 4, MP, Blackout, Zombies. We got you covered the best of updates, news, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. So if any of that interests you, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, there's the best place to get connected outside of YouTube. I can live on both those. So if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. Well, that's it out of the way. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.